You want a big guard leading the way? Let me introduce you to Dylan Mingo.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Friday, May 30th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you for making us your first listener watch to get your Friday going the right way, heading into the weekend. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Special shout out to all you everydayers here joining us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course, our great Locked On Tar Heels insiders as well. A quick PSA as we get into the show today. Next week, I'm going to be out of town with my family. Some much needed vacation, kind of on the back end of yet another crazy school year. We all got to get away sometimes, even me, yes. But I have been hard at work all this week, recording shows for every day for next week so that you're not without content just like you always would be. So we got a great fun lineup for next week. We got Mailbag Monday. Coach Rob joins me on Tuesday. Wednesday is we're doing a decades draft. A lot of fun there with Lenzel Graham, the host of 94 Feet of UNC. David Chadwick, Carolina former basketball player, joins me on Thursday. And then our guy Riley Davis, a fun conversation on Friday. So we've got a whole week's worth of shows already done and ready to go for you. But that does mean I need you to know that if there's any breaking news next week, it won't be on the show. We'll catch it the week after that, but I just want you to know that right now. So for example, we're going to talk about the baseball regional today. If there's big stuff that happens today and tomorrow's games, I'll go live and we'll talk about those, but we're leaving on Sunday. And so I won't be able to catch anything again till next weekend when hopefully the Diamond Heels are in the Super Regional. Now, as for today's show, Carolina on Thursday, it was announced, has offered Dylan Mingo, a point guard in the class of 2026. So we're going to get to know him today in segment one, and then we're going to spend the rest of the show looking at the beginning of the baseball regional. Man, it's one of my favorite times of the year. It's so much fun, and it's so cool that Carolina is so regularly really good, and so that'll be fun to unpack and get ready for, and so that's going to be good. Let's start by talking Dylan Mingo. Also, I should note, later on Thursday, Cole Rosario, Kohl, also in the class of 2026, a shooting guard, mentioned on social media. I noticed it on Twitter that Carolina had offered him. So we'll talk him another day. Today, we're just going to focus on Dylan Mingo. I first saw this. I always want to try to give credit to Dushan London from 247 Sports. Noted that Mingo had been offered. Forgive me for the drink. My throat is struggling here, apparently. And Dushan London. And then one of the things you just got to know about Mingo. He has been already this summer in the early parts of the EYBL circuit. That's what culminates with Peach Jam later on this summer. Has just been a quick riser early on this summer. And I want to give you three things right out of the gate that really stand out to me about Dylan Mingo. And then we'll do the bio blast and talk about him and the whole thing. But I want to make sure to hit these things. Wow, sorry. I'm so loud. Sorry, that was very loud. Number one, I've called them, how about this? How about this, number one? This dude is a 6'5" point guard. Yes. I mean, right? Like, you want size? Here you go. And I think from the trauma that we've all endured the past couple of years, and I guess I shouldn't use trauma lightly. It's not trauma from the, just like, oh, why aren't we bigger of the last couple of years with RJ Davis and Elliott being an undersized backcourt. To land somebody of this nature would be phenomenal. We haven't seen it this big since Kobe White. He and Kobe have different games. Kobe is more purely a scorer, whereas Mingo brings some of that to the table, but some other stuff as well. Obviously not as tall as Kobe because of the hair. Man, Kobe's hair is just glorious. And I'm so glad, by the way, to see him just having a big time year this year for the Bulls. Great stuff there. But Carolina has upped the game on their backcourt height coming into this season, and he could be another one to even keep that trend going ahead of the 2026-27 season. Good grief, we're getting old. How about this number two? Dylan Mingo from the state of New York. North Carolina Tar Heels, New York Guards. peanut butter and jelly, white on rice, whatever you want to say, man, they just seem to go together. Carolina has had a ton of them through the years, and in recent years as well. No reason to not keep that train going. That's got to be at least some level of in. Is look at all the history of success the University of North Carolina has had with New York guards. And then how about this number 3? One of the things that Mingo both desires to do by his own talking and by watching him do it on the court is defense. He desires to be a defender, not to the neglect of scoring, but in addition to be a true two-way player. And what I love about that is that Carolina has had multiple of like that type of player lately. Seth Trimble, Drake Powell. We haven't seen it yet, but that's part of Caleb Wilson's calling card that we're going to get to see this year. And so I love Carolina offering and going after a big guard from New York who loves to play defense, man. That I will take that makeup of a player all day long and twice on Sunday or whatever the phrase is. How about some rankings? Here's the 4 main recruiting rankings sites for college basketball. As a reminder, On3 has recently purchased Rivals. It hasn't come together yet. So right now we still have 4 separate rankings. 247 is actually the lowest. He is 13 there. ESPN and Rivals, he's 11th for those. And On3, he's 10th. I would be shocked if when it's all said and done, he's still 13th at 247, meaning I think is going to be better ranked than he is now. Now, there's guys in front of him, and it's like, whoa, these are dudes too. But Dylan Mingo is on the come up, and man, it's going to be good. Quick bio blast about some other things from Brookville, New York. Plays at Long Island Lutheran High School. Has been playing with his brother there, who is actually going to be a freshman in college this year. I'll say more about that in a second. I'm being intentionally vague right now. For AAU, he plays for the PSA Cardinals. That's the Pre-Scholars Athletics Cardinals. Just one of those, well-known AAU programs that will prepare him well. Stats on EYBL so far this summer, where he plays a little bit of a different role than he does during the school year. So that's why I'm honing in on those stats rather than his high school stats. So far this summer, 18.6 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and 2.5 steals. Stat stuffing, doing a lot of everything. That's an encouraging sign. Eric Bossi, somebody from 247 Sports, one of the recruiting kind of analysts. I love his kind of takeaways and the things he says. So I just want to share some of what he has said about Dylan Mingo from watching him at EYBL Phoenix, where, by the way, I should tell you, Dylan Mingo, here's his line against Team Harrow. Take this, Tyler. 31 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Crazy stuff in that. And so let me just say to you, if you've not watched his footage from EYBL Phoenix, Dylan Mingo's that is, you should. It's very impressive to me. Bossi, who I believe was there, and that's just always a different thing to see it in person, said that Mingo just really stood out. Like anytime you talk post Phoenix, like what's going on, it's like Dylan Mingo, he's the man. He says Bossi does just a couple things about Mingo that I want to point out from Bossi's conversation. He gets wherever he wants with the ball. You need that. I mean, you think about this Carolina team, and we're hoping that Kyan Evans can really be that true lead point guard, that Seth can step into that some more as well, getting wherever he wants. He's really dynamic as a defender. We already mentioned that, but it's nice when it's coming from somebody else other than just the self-adulation of it. And then another thing that Bossi pointed out is that Dylan Mingo is actually a little bit young for his class. He's still 16 as a rising senior and won't be 17 until this summer. So I like that for a couple reasons of kind of this level of maturity at this youth tends to suggest, there's more coming right there. And that even though he is a little bit younger for his grade, that he's playing with the big boys and can and will continue to do so. So I like that. He's one of these guys that's offered by everybody and their brother. So I'm not even going to list it off. You just know that. Part of his self-described game, he says, I'm almost like a Schade, like SGA, a point guard that can get everyone open, but also defense, kind of like Kawhi. Now, look, let's hold off on comparing ourselves to SGA and Kawhi Leonard. Like, I love you, Dylan Mingo, but, Hopefully, good grief. If you can get that combination of dudes, I mean, the greatest basketball player ever, right? Like, and so those are great aspirations, though, to want to defend at a Kawhi Leonard level and to want to score and facilitate at an SGA level. If you can continue to aspire to that, really, really good stuff. And so I could see him both as a point guard because of his ability to get where he wants, because of his ability and desire to distribute for others, but also, I mean, watching him, this dude is a bucket, man. He's growing in that. And so playing off the ball a little bit could help that as well. So I could see him either place. Now, I mentioned his brother is playing in college this year, and I was intentionally vague with that because Caden, his brother, is a freshman at Penn State, an interesting choice. He's no slouch of a player himself. He's like a top 35-ish player in this incoming freshman class. And so, I think Penn State's got to think like, hey, maybe we got some shots here. The Veesaar brothers are playing together this year at Illinois. But there's also, it's the transfer portal era. They could go wherever they want together next year when Dylan is going to be a freshman. So just keep that in mind as well. And ultimately, the last thing I'll say about Dylan, and then we'll move on, is this just carries on the trend of both last year and this year of Carolina just offering elite after 5-star guy in the class to see what sticks. This year, it's Caleb Wilson that sticks. Who's it going to be in the class of 2026? We don't know yet. But I like that Carolina's getting out there and getting the name out there. We've talked about that. All right, time to turn our attention to the Diamond Heels. Let's talk some baseball. The regionals are starting today, and hopefully you're listening to or watching this before the game gets going. But if not, you better get to it right now. We'll talk about the baseball regional in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, the NBA playoffs are in full swing. We could have had the NBA Finals matchup set, but the Pacers couldn't take care of business on Thursday night. So every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. So whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action than right now. FanDuel makes it easy for you to stay in the game before tip-off and live in the midst of it. They've got player props, performance trends, same game parlays, and with all of that, fans just like you have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. How about Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow night back there in Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis? Pacers desperately trying to close it out in this game and not have to go back to MSG for a winner-take-all Game 7. That would be crazy. Pacers favored at home by just now 3.5 points. Boy, that's going to be interesting on Saturday evening. Are you new to FanDuel? It's the perfect time to sign up. Head on over to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. So go ahead, make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. It's time to talk some baseball. I can hear the put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. I don't know why. I apologize. I'm so sorry to all of you for that just happening. Anyway, I'm just amped. I'm geeked. I love regional day that starts. So the Chapel Hill Regional, Carolina, the number 5 overall seed in the NCAA tournament for baseball. We talked about it earlier in the week. It's too low, but whatever. Now you just go play the games and beat the teams in front of you. Carolina, the number 1 seed in the Chapel Hill Regional, followed by Oklahoma, the 2, Nebraska, the 3, and Holy Cross, the 4. So what that means is that we'll get Carolina versus Holy Cross today at noon Eastern. So hopefully you're catching this before that, followed by Oklahoma and Nebraska. Oklahoma, the 2, Nebraska, the 3. That will first pitch approximately 5 p.m. today, depending on what happens with Carolina and Holy Cross. Carolina game is on ACC Network. The Oklahoma-Nebraska game, if you want to do some scouting for Saturday's action, is on ESPN+. Plus, for those of you watching on YouTube, I've pulled up the bracket so you can see it and how things are going to shake out. If not, if you're listening to this, that's okay. I'm going to lay out the bracket, the schedule for us here. So both matchups happen on Friday, and then on Saturday, we'll get the winners and the losers. The losers play in an elimination game earlier in the day on Saturday. That'll be noon Eastern, TBD on TV schedule, with the winners then scheduled to play at 6 p.m. on Saturday. So for Carolina, should they beat Holy Cross today here, then they get a nice long break until Saturday evening with a shot, hopefully, to win and move on into that final opportunity to win. Just have to win a third game and kind of be done with it. So you get the winners and the losers playing on Saturday. Then Sunday, we move to game 5, another elimination game. The team that won the losers game 3, and the team that lost the winners game 4, that's another elimination game. That's at noon Eastern on Sunday. Again, TV TBD. And then the winner of that game will play the winner that hasn't lost yet, hopefully the Tar Heels, Sunday at 6 p.m. Should Carolina win, or should whomever is the team that's won the first 2 games win, it's over. It's all said and done, and we're moving on to super regionals. However, if the team from the losers bracket wins, we go on to a winner-take-all, all the regional marbles matchup on Sunday, time and TV. Or sorry, I said Sunday, I meant Monday, time and TV TBD. So if Carolina can take care of their business quick, it's just like a normal weekend regional, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is the ideal here. That's the goal. That's what you hope for. And that allows your pitchers to be all lined up and do what they do, which is the next place I want to go. Pitching wise, Carolina, per Pat James, let us know on Thursday that Carolina is planning to roll with Jake Knapp. Now, Coach Forbes had said earlier in the week he planned to, and now it's official. And there's always, when you're the number 1 seed, a lot of conversation about, do you go with your dude in game 1, or since you're playing a 4 seed, do you hold him back in preparation for setting up for a showdown with the number 2 seed in your regional on Saturday? Here's the thing for me. Take no chances. You don't want to mess around, because in baseball, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. If your pitcher's hot and you can mow down even the number 1 team, so be it. And if you're the number 1 team, and you're like, crud, had we started Jake now, we probably would have won this game, and then we could move on. And that's the thing. Precedent also suggests Coach Forbes is going to do this. He's going to start his dude. Reminder, in baseball, there are no guarantees. So basic rule of thumb, don't overthink it. Stick with what you got it here. Stick with what got you here, and then figure it out from there. Win today, and then you move on to tomorrow. Because if you don't win today, now you're in a world of trouble trying to work your way out of the losers bracket and trying to get all your pitching lineup and all that, whatever. The other thing I'll say is that by using Knapp this afternoon, Friday, as we all eat our lunch, and then DeCaro Saturday, win or lose on Friday, that's normal rest for these guys. That's what they're used to. That's exactly what they did last weekend. DeCaro Friday night against Boston College. Saturday, DeCaro against Florida State. Obviously, Aiden Houck had to come into that one, and so then he can't start Sunday. But still, you get the point, right? So if you do Knapp on regular rest today, then you get DeCaro on regular rest tomorrow, hopefully against Nebraska, should they knock off Oklahoma, whatever. And then whomever you would face on Sunday for the opportunity to move on to the super regionals. And here's what's and pitchers are just weird like that. They want that regularity of, like, I'm going to pitch every 7 days for these guys, or every 5 days for the major league guys. And when you get into those rhythms, they help you. I should know I'm a pitcher and I'm weird. That's what we do. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the other way of doing it is what Oklahoma's doing it. The number 2 seed in the Chapel Hill Regional, they are saving their ace for Saturday, hoping for a matchup with Carolina. Now, what's interesting is they have brothers on this team, Kyson and Malachi Witherspoon. Kyson is the one that's the ace. He's 10-3 with a 2.47 ERA, while Malachi is 3-8 with a 5.53 ERA. So they're trotting out Malachi to start today against Nebraska, the 3 seed, in the hopes that they can save Kyson for a matchup with Carolina, where that would give them maybe some better odds at winning. Now, if Carolina was in the same boat where you don't really have a solid, dependable number 2 starter, you might have to do that. For Carolina, I guess you don't have to think about it as much, because this time last year, DeCaro was your number 1 starter, right? And so I guess that's a luxury the Tar Heels have. Thank you very much. We'll take it and make no apologies for it. But to me, it's dumb. Same thing. If you're Oklahoma, just do what you got to do. Start Kyson, your dude, today, beat Nebraska, and then figure it out. Because if you lose to Nebraska as the 2 seed and you're in the loser circle, that puts Carolina, thank you very much, in an even better position to win this thing pretty easily. So we'll see what happens, but it's interesting. Carolina starts their race, Oklahoma doesn't. We'll see how that works out for everybody. Here's what ultimately can't happen for the Tar Heels. Remember last year, Carolina in game 1 got into a bad situation against Long Island University and needed a Gavin Gallagher walk-off grand slam to bail him out with some other help earlier in the 9th inning. But man, I'd tell you what, remember, Carolina came to that 9th inning down multiple runs. It was like, gonna have to work our way out of the losers bracket against LSU being in this region, and yuck. Another thing, I can't really decide yet if I like playing this early game or not. Carolina having the first of the 2 games. I like it from a rest standpoint. I like it from a weather standpoint. If something should happen and rain moves in, you're the game that gets pushed back, right? And so you put yourself in the best odds to play. It's like I'm going to be flying out to this vacation this weekend, and when you fly on the first flight of the day, much less chance of it being delayed or messed up or whatever. Same thing. Playing this first game, put yourself in a good position there. You hopefully win, get off your feet and rest up for hopefully playing on Saturday evening, a nice long rest. So we'll see what happens with that. I think I like playing the earlier game, but there's something fun about the Bosch at night too. Well, hopefully if we win, we'll get that on Saturday. Something you need to know about Holy Cross as we get ready to talk about that is this team is going to run. They're 27th in the nation in total stolen bases. They're 25th in the nation in stolen bases per game. Here's the key for me and why I want to put it in this segment as we talk about Jake Knapp. What do you have to do in order to be able to steal bases? You have to get on the bases. And if Jake Knapp can keep Holy Cross off the bases, they can't steal the bases. That's how baseball works. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. In all seriousness, though, Holy Cross has this, strong stolen base capability, but it's dependent on them getting to Jake Knapp and Jake Knapp not walking anybody either, and Carolina's defense not making any errors to get even to the spot where they can make that a weapon. So let's neutralize that weapon by keeping guys off base. So we'll see how Jake Knapp does that today. And then for Carolina, I think part of it for this year offensively is for those of you who are just coming to baseball right now, which welcome in. It's the regional round. I understand that's the deal for a lot of people. I'm all in all the time. This Carolina offense last year was the Bash brothers, right? They're hitting stuff, or I guess we should say Bosch brothers. They're hitting stuff over the wall left and right with tons and tons and tons of power. And Carolina can do that. They showed it last weekend when they hit those 3 home runs in 1 inning against Clemson. They can and will do that at times. But this Carolina offense is much more aggressive, much more manufacturing runs, kind of in old school ways of bunting, stealing, getting on base, taking your walks. Kane Kepley, the leadoff batter, gets hit by about a pitch a game, it feels like. And so it's like that's what you'll see from the Carolina offense today. Now, a little bit of some more look ahead, including potential matchup with Oklahoma, potential super regional, potential all of that we want to look ahead at and see where Carolina is sitting. We'll come to all of that to wrap up getting ready for the baseball regional in just a second. The biggest threat, obviously, in Carolina's regional is Oklahoma, the number 2 seed coming out of, remember, the SEC, not Big 12 anymore. The Sooners were 35-20 on the year, 14-16 in SEC play. Obviously, they are not the Oklahoma softball team who was so crazily dominant. Oklahoma was 9-9 on the road this year, so that's something to be aware of. Their SEC series, they were 5-5 in those. They were fine. Started off kind of the opposite of Carolina. They won their first 2 SEC series, then they lost their next 2, won their next 2, and then they lost, won, lost. And so just a lot of back and forth in how they did this year. They beat some teams you might not think they would beat, and they lost to some teams you might not think they would lose to. And so Carolina, I said this earlier in the week, I'll say it again here because I think it still holds true. Just simply needs to be Carolina, like the Diamond Heels that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Oh my, this pitching staff is so good. And we've seen some big moments from some of the freshmen continuing to step up. McDuffie, just good grief, right? We had a great starting pitching performance in the SEC championship game, I'm talking to Oklahoma, so I said SEC, ACC championship game against Clemson. Obviously, it's tougher without Matty Mateus. Like, that's just a reality. Having him missing from the bullpen is not good. But Carolina has the arms to do it. They've got the defense to do it. And they just need to be able to string runs together. And that's what we're going to be watching for. So if it is Oklahoma on Saturday in either the winners or losers bracket, I guess, I feel good about where Carolina is at. One stat, I talked about the pitching strength that really stands out to me is Carolina's ERA as compared to these other three teams. The Tar Heels have the fourth best team ERA in the entire nation. OU, very respectable 28th, Nebraska 71st, and Holy Cross 142nd. So focus on today. I know I looked ahead there to Oklahoma, but focus on today. Take care of Holy Cross, like right out of the gate. Let's get the offense going. Kane Kepley lead the way. And I guess that is kind of a difference, right? Like last year, you love Vance Honeycutt leading off because it could be a blast right out of the gate, as we saw some in the postseason. But also, you just got to call it what it is. Vance's proclivity for striking out was a thing. King Kepley brings a different kind of skill set to the table, and would love to see him set that table to start the game this afternoon against Holy Cross. Now, next, if Carolina should win the region this weekend, which hopefully would happen on Sunday, but Monday is a possibility as well. The Chapel Hill Regional is paired with the Eugene Regional, which includes, obviously, Oregon, the host, the 12th overall seed, Utah Valley, Arizona, and Cal Poly. Obviously, nothing of that terribly jumps out at you. Arizona might be able to give Oregon some fits. Funny, got a Big 12 school there in Arizona against a Big 10 school in Oregon, both former Pac-12 schools. So pretty funny stuff there. Oregon, very good team. And so the good news, though, is that Carolina being the 5 seed, if they win their regional, regardless of what anyone else does, Carolina will host the Supers. That would be great. That would be next weekend. And it would be a 2 out of 3. You win those and you advance to Omaha. Oregon, a great team if that's who comes out, but Carolina can beat them. Now, next, I want to go one further step ahead than the Super Regional. I'll tell you why. Because if the bracket continues to advance, if the seeds hold and UNC makes it to Omaha and the seed holds on the other side of the bracket as well, you continue to see these super regionals, the regionals paired up, the super regionals paired up. The super regional, obviously, that Carolina is paired up with, being the 5 seed, is the super regional that would hold the 4 seed, which is Auburn, the seed that I thought Carolina should have gotten. It's funny because, then they would end up matching up. And if that transpires, that matchup, Carolina and Auburn, there's your chance to prove it on the diamond. Go out and just beat the crud out of them, right? And prove that you belong there. Now, I don't want to jinx it, but UNC has been a top 8 seed, where you host the Super Regional, previous 8 times. This is the 9th. In those previous 8 times Carolina has been a top 8 seed, they've made the College World Series 7 of them. That's great odds. But I don't want to be the team to screw it up now, right? So Carolina got to go take care of business today. That's all that matters right now for the team and for Coach Forbes. Take care of business today. Then we'll look ahead to tomorrow in the Super Regional and hopefully the College World Series. But if you don't start by beating Holy Cross, it's a lot harder to do. One quick note on the way out the door. Women's lacrosse won their national championship earlier this week on Sunday. And then on Thursday, it was announced that Chloe Humphrey, freshman, redshirt freshman to be exact, but fine, whatever, won the Tewaaraton Award, like the National Player of the Year award for women's lacrosse. Really, really cool stuff there for a couple of reasons. Number one, she is the first freshman to ever win this award. Number two, she's the first Tar Heel to win this award, which I thought was kind of wild. When I looked back on that, I was like, really? Okay. And I looked back and sure enough, it was true. Even in 2022, I was like, but Charlotte North from Boston College won it that year, despite the fact that they didn't win. And I thought that girl, Taylor, is that her last name, from Northwestern, was going to win it. But I guess that's what happens when Carolina shuts you down in the national championship game. And kind of cool, maybe kind of awkward, is Chloe wins this award over her sister Ashley, who's the best assister in women's lacrosse NCAA history. And so kind of funny, if you watch the video of them announcing the award, there were 5 ladies that were finalists, and the announcer said, and the recipient of this year's Tewaaraton Award from the University of North Carolina, and he kind of pauses because there's two of them, and then he says Chloe. I thought it would have been funny if he had said from the University of North Carolina, Miss Humphrey, right? Like if you're going to start the suspense, get all the suspense in there, buddy. Come on, missed opportunity there. Anyway, massive congrats to Chloe. I hope she and Ashley can process through that very well. Obviously, all three Humphrey sisters playing for the Tar Heels this year. All right, guys, that's it for today's show. To wrap up the week, as a reminder, again, I'm out of town next week, but you got shows all 5 days of the work week. Don't you worry about a thing. We'll cheer on the Tar Heels hard today on the diamond. Hopefully they can get that first win of the regional and put themselves in the right frame of mind. If you've not subscribed to the show on video and audio, do it right now so you don't miss a second of the show. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, we'd love to have you there. The link's in the show notes, absolutely free to join. And if you want to go deeper and next level with the show, join the Locked On Tar Heels Insiders. That link is also in the show notes, a great way to help support what we're doing and keep us going. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again, hopefully after some Diamond Heels wins this weekend, but at least if not then, until Monday. Peace.